So now we're heading towards the old Real Gymnasium in the region of Rakovac in the city of Karlovac. Back in Austria-Hungary it was called Karlstadt, where Nikola Tesla went to school in the Real Gymnasium in 1870s as a teenager. Anyways, he was in his teens when he was here in Karlovac and lived here from the age of, I believe, 14 or 15 to about 18. And another interesting trivia about this school and the Real Gymnasium here is that it was the only and the last place that Nikola Tesla actually received a physical diploma. You have to be. Nikola was kind of a rebellious figure, which makes perfect sense that he was beyond his professors. Hence, in Graz, in Austria later on, and other places, he didn't fully go far enough in actual typical class functions of physics and mathematics. But anyway, in this place he was functioning, and this is the Real Gymnasium in Karlovac, Croatia, or also back then the day known as Karlstadt, part of Austria-Hungary. Now this is also the other area. This is the other house that he was in, and this renovated little museum for Nikola Tesla is estimated that Nikola Tesla lived during his time in Rakovac region. So you have Rakovac on this side, and you have Bani on that side, and then Gaza on the other side. These are all the regions of Karlovac. So you have Rakovac, the old dungeon fort city star. You have Banja on the other side, the border of river Kupa that divides Central Europe from Southeast Europe, or also known as the Balkan Peninsula. You have Gaza, not to be mistaken with the Middle Eastern Gaza, but Gaza Karlovac. And then you have Švarća, Ilovac, Mekuše, all these other regions of Karlovac. This is the museum, as you can see, and but however, there are many interesting aspects of history of Nikola Tesla's period and one of the main interesting about it were that Nikola Tesla actually discovered here in Karlstadt back in circa 1873 as a teenager, when he was about, give or take, maybe 17 years old, so about my son's age right now. He was discovered by a professor from Karlovac known as Martin Sekulić. So Martin Sekulić was a pretty big deal during the Austrian Habsburg monarchy period in the 1870s, and was the man who officially discovered the actual genius of one Nikola Tesla, and as such made him as to what he is. And then there were further witness Nikola Tesla's life and the loss of his father, Milutin Tesla, in 1879, and which is somewhat similar to the case and fate of one Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who was very dependent on his father, and same Same fate when Mozart's father died. Mozart kind of went a little bit crazy, and similarly is what happened with Nikola Tesla in 1879 going to 1880 after his father passed away. His whole kind of everything that he stood for, and what his father, who was, by the way, his father was Orthodox, like a Serbian Orthodox priest in Croatia, operating in the city county of Gospić, Lika, but in the village of Smiljan, where Nikola Tesla was born in 1856. So we're actually slowly reaching to the 50th anniversary of Nikola Tesla's birth. Actually, it's going to be 148 years since he was born in 1856. So that's going to be in 2 weeks, July 10th. We're going to be celebrating his 148th birthday. Anyways, fact is that Nikola Tesla, after his brother was killed, unfortunately, his father, Milutin, demanded that Nikola Tesla be an Orthodox priest. And what happened is, and his father also studied in Constantinople, Istanbul, and in Greece, and was more of a Greek Orthodox kind of specialist on history. Very educated family. And but anyways, Nikola Tesla was nothing like a priest, or could not be a religious figure, and there was no way that one Nikola Tesla would be a priest. So finally, after all the ordeals, after Karlovac, Tesla went back to Gospić at the time, and then he was told by his father that he had to be a priest, and that physics and mathematics and so all just games and waste of time and etc., which was absolutely a no-no for Nikola Tesla, who actually, unfortunately, had cholera at one point of time and almost died and was ready to die. And Nikola Tesla almost practically said, "I would rather let myself go and die than ever not be what I'm meant to be, what my dream is, to be a physicist and a mathematician and a genius that he really was," which actually occurred. And finally his father, Milutin, who was kind of like a rock, loosened up and allowed his own son to go further with his actual dreams, which later went, to Graz, and then Prague, and Budapest, and Paris, and then New York City, and of course Colorado, where he was in Colorado Springs, actually Manitou Springs, by the end of the 19th century, on the turn of the century, 1899, 1900, and the rest is history. But this is the old gymnasium where Nikola Tesla went to school. As you can see, this is an old Austro-Hungarian architecture, Austro-Hungarian Habsburg monarchy school. And note that back in the day, like in 1800s, Karlovac, or back then known as Karlstad, was a big deal. To be in Karlstad at the time, was to be in the center of activity. I mean, you're only 2-hour drive. Well, today's automobiles, you're a 2-hour drive from Graz, you're 2 hours drive from Trieste, 1 hour to Slovenia, 1 hour to Bosnia, maybe hour and a half to Bosnia, maybe a couple hours northeast to Hungary. I mean, and Trieste and Italy is right on the other side, which, right now it takes you less than an hour on the highway to get to, this is what it's called now, the gymnasium, so. Yeah, this really was a very interesting place back in the 1800s, and but anyways, As you can see, we shouldn't really be walking here, but there we go. And then here we have this here specifically was erected 25 years after Nikola Tesla's death in 1968 as for the memory of the great Nikola Tesla. So anyways, I hope some of this education was helpful, and now we will be heading towards the actual Nikola Tesla Museum over there, where we will further see more of the Nikola Tesla's genius.